across the sea of life, so much pain. Warring divides, it's a shame. We don't see how it can be. Oh, we need to smile at each other, wish for your brother, help one another. All we need is love. All we need to.
Welcome back to the Yfactor on 87.6 FM.
God's help will come from above, but first we need the love.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are we? I hope we are all well. Welcome back to another episode of the Yfactor on 87.6 FM. Assalamu alaikum. So we made it clear.
Yes.
We've got an interesting week, don't we, Jamel?
We certainly do. Some wacky stories ready for you.
Very wacky stories, and all come from the United States, which explains a lot. I'm not going to go any further. We're going to kick off our news segment for the week. And stay tuned as well. We have a special guest from the local community. It's a charity organisation
called Mercy to the World.
And you'll be hearing from him shortly, inshallah, after our break as part of our main feature. Sister Amatullah will be covering the virtues of charity as well as part of her religious corner. So stay tuned for that. And we'll be covering the wacky, weird, strange, quirky.
All the good stuff.
Yeah, all the really interesting stuff.
Should be an awesome episode today, so stay tuned.
The Yfactor.
So, like, we've got all these wacky stories, I guess, for a lineup.
Wacky. How are we meant to have a serious approach to these wacky stories, Jamel? I don't understand how. They're just weird, man.
You want to take a serious approach?
I can't take a serious approach with this stuff. It's like, look at the content. What are we, Hamish and Andy, the Muslim version?
A better version.
I'm not implying anything to our listeners.
I think we're actually on air at the moment.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. Yeah, our first news item for the week is more of a serious issue. It's the issue of the burqa. And if you're watching Channel 9, you would have seen all the controversy surrounding the Muslim sister by the name of Karnita Matthews, who was pulled over by police. This was several months back, I believe, possibly last year, I think.
Yeah, it was some time a while ago, and I mean, such an embarrassing story as well.
SubhanAllah, yeah, she's actually been proven to have lied about a police officer who pulled her over for P plates not showing correctly, and there's camera footage, and we've seen a bit of it on TV, which shows her going off at the officer saying, "You're racist, it's because I'm wearing the niqab." And obviously the niqab debate has sprung up, and Talkback Radio has been going off. It's been really doing my head in, because I've been listening to Alan Jones and some of the comments the bogan.
Why would you bother listening to him, man?
Well, Jamel, I do like to maintain an open mind and research various sources of news. One of those happens to be Alan Jones radio station. I don't know. Anyway, yesterday Alan Jones interviewed Barry O'Farrell. Right, we all know Alan Jones, our resident shock jock, who's a very good fan of the Muslim community, isn't he?
Yeah, loves to dramatise for ratings.
During the interview, he told Barry O'Farrell, he said, the Italians and Greeks came, they're done and dusted, they've integrated, they've assimilated. Now, for the first time, he said, religion is interfering with the Australian way of life. Surprisingly, I was like, oh my goodness, here we go again. Then Barry O'Farrell responded, the Premier of New South Wales, he said, it isn't the first time, Alan, that religion has interfered. He goes, in the 19th century in Australia, I wouldn't be able to be Premier because I'm a Catholic. And back then, there were big issues with the Catholics and the Protestants.
Okay.
So, hats off to Barry O'Farrell for that comment. I don't indirectly probably supporting the Muslim community, but I'm like, yes, you tell him, Barry, smash Alan Jones. Yeah. Intellectually, of course. Don't blow up his building, or we're not inciting any violence
anything
or anything
like that.
I swear. But I don't know, subhanAllah. And we all seen the footage. There was about 20 to 30 brothers who were there in support of the sister. There was a bit of push and shove. I mean, we know where their intentions were. They were there to obviously protect the sister from all the media attention and cameras being shoved in her face. And there was some push and shove between them and officers.
Look, granted, there is, I believe there is still a fair bit of racism and prejudice and racial profiling in Australia, and among police. But, what the woman did was inexcusable. Her lying to the media, to the courts and so forth was inexcusable. In Islam, you're not allowed to lie. Lies are punished for their lies and as a crime itself. So, there's no excuse for it whatsoever. It's just embarrassing, this whole story.
And we say this with all due respect, of course. I mean, we're just going off the facts of our own research. We're not judging the sister. But it is sad to see that this whole debate about the burqa and, politicians are under pressure. Yfactor is actually under pressure to pass a bill where they, possibly ban or outlaw the burqa, which I'm completely against. It's just, subhanAllah, this whole
completely
issue...
against what? Completely against the burqa, Mohammed?
No. Astaghfirullah Azim. No, just completely against banning anything that has religious symbolism in any religion.
Well, I think if women are allowed to walk around scantily clad in whatever that way they like, then what's the problem with allowing women to also dress as modestly as they like?
Fair point, Jamel. And we're trying to be as sensitive as possible here, with all due respect to the system. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant her, ease at this time of hardship. There is a lot of media attention on her at the moment. I just hope this issue can be done and dusted with. I think we need to put a lid on this can of worms and put some closure on the issue.
Well, I guess we could say that, all sort of respect to her and things like that, but at the same time she has put a bad name to the Muslim community because of her own actions, because she lied. And what was the benefit of lying? Are you skeptical of whether the news is telling the truth about her? Or?
I'm always cautious. I'm critical of where I get my news from. All I'm saying is, as a Muslim, to be judging a fellow Muslim, it is a sensitive matter. So all I'd like to see, this is my opinion and not anyone else's, is just this matter just dead and buried, because I'm sick of hearing all the racist comments on radio. We need to focus on more key, important issues that we are facing in the community, and I believe this is not one of our utmost priorities, especially considering the fact that there are only several thousand Muslim women who wear the niqab in this country. So I doubt all the media hype, attention, and the politicians' time and effort is warranted on the fact that there's such a substantially small amount of women who wear the niqab.
That's fair enough. Like you should always support your Muslim brothers and sisters, but say if she was caught on camera lying about what actually took place, then I have an issue with that, because justice also comes first.
Of course, you know what? I think both sides of this whole debacle need to compromise. If Muslim sisters who wear the niqab or the burqa, if they want to continue wearing it, inshallah, in this country, because there's so much hype around it, how about there's an agreement made between them and authorities, whereby if a lady in a niqab or a burqa is pulled over by police, she will not reveal her identification unless there's a female officer present. If there's no female officer present, that lady can be escorted to a nearby police station, and purely for identification purposes, her face should be revealed to a female officer present at that station. See how we're sort of compromising both sides?
Yeah,
we're maintaining the religious...
I doubt it's ever going to happen.
Khair, inshallah. That's my ideal utopia, Jamel. Do not tarnish my dreams, okay?
The Yfactor.
Speaking of the burqa, it seems like the place that makes lovely chocolates in Belgium, halfway point between France and Germany, the place that's squeezed right in between, is closer to burning the burqa.
Exactly. They want to ban all clothing that covers or partially covers the face. That would obviously prohibit Muslim women from wearing the burqa and the niqab in public. The bill was passed by a vote of 136 to 1.
I find this quite hilarious, because there are actually some places in Europe where you can just walk around naked. So, and now they're sort of putting a ban on fully covering up.
So it's like the government saying, yes, immorality is rife, continue to dress immodestly, while sisters who do choose to preserve their modesty and chastity are antagonistic towards the European secular way of life. SubhanAllah, I do not see the logic in this. I do not see the rationale. And to think human beings, the distinction made between us and animals is our aql, is our intellect, our use of intelligence, our discretion at decision making. What sort of decision is this? What is the world coming to? Khair, inshallah. Let's move on.
The Yfactor.
On to our next news item. The RSPCA has got itself involved in the whole abattoir in Indonesia issue and our beef.
Leave the meat alone. We should start a rally, with slogans saying, leave the meat alone.
They can't, Jamel. They have plans to ban non-stunned halal and kosher slaughter. So what they've said is, after watching that whole segment of the brutal treatment of cattle in Indonesia, well, the RSPCA wants to ban the ritual killing of animals, so whether it be for kosher or halal.
But what happened in Indonesia wasn't halal slaughter. The footage that they showed, to me it sounds like the RSPCA is now run by a bunch of vegetarians or something.
Hey, let's not attack the vegetarians, okay? I think we're going to have enough haters on this show as there is.
Hey, look,
Jamel.
I love my vegetables. It's all good.
Okay, cool. Well, what the RSPCA is propagating and calling for is for animals to be stunned before they are slaughtered or have their throats cut. As we know of the halal procedure, an animal's throat is cut. Little do they know, and they're saying that it's a brutal process, the halal system, and so is kosher. It's brutal, it's malicious, it's inflicting a lot of pain on the animal. Little do they know it's the most humane method of slaughtering an animal.
Because you cut the pain receptor to the brain, is that correct?
It's very simple, that's all it is. I mean, when that nerve is cut, the animal feels but a pinch. I mean, to our listeners out there, pinch yourself for 1 second and let go. You're going to have a sharp pain for literally a microsecond, and then it's gone. This is all animals feel during the halal process. But they're saying that it's a brutal practice and it should be banned. They say it's unacceptable to cut the throat of an animal or sever blood vessels while the animal is fully conscious.
Have you ever been tasered before, Mohammed?
No comment, Jamel. Let's not bring up my past live on air. Okay?
I know you're Lebanese, so it's most likely have happened before. But
I think I got I became a good boy after the tasers were introduced,
right.
thankfully.
But I'm saying, would you rather be tasered or have a pinch as well?
Are you suggesting that someone should slice my throat?
Well, you do. Never mind. I was going to say you look quite delicious, but that's a bit gay. So we'll skip topics.
Okay, khair, inshallah. Perhaps you become a vegetarian, Jamel. Do the world a favour.
Nom nom nom.
The Yfactor.
The next story that we're going on to is quite an ugly building that I used to see every day in the city. The muesli bar of UTS.
Don't hate, Jamel. Appreciate. It's what's on the inside that counts.
Hate. All right. On the inside, it looks all right, but on the outside, it has been described as a phallic symbol, and now they want to wrap it in plastic.
That's right. There's a German board director called Chris Bossi. Now he's in charge of a project to redesign a complete overhaul of the UTS building. If you haven't seen it, you can head down Parramatta Road. Once Parramatta Road links up to Redfern in the city, you'll see a beautiful building
that sticks out like a sore thumb.
The criticisms are criticisms.
It's actually been labelled as one of the ugliest buildings in the city. So
3 years running, okay?
Yeah, you should get an award for that. Everybody who goes to UTS or would like to go to UTS has something to look forward to. Versus Sydney University, which is a whole suburb in itself, has Hogwarts looking like buildings and castles and things like that. We've got all new productions there. I obviously went to Sydney University, so yeah.
Yeah, and I go to UTS, and I will stand by UTS till the day I graduate, and that is all.
Once you got the degree,
I do agree that it needs an extreme makeover. Perhaps they should make a show for extreme makeovers for buildings. That show on TV.
Yeah, Pimp My University or something.
PimpMyUniversity.com.
The Yfactor.
School leavers are under attack now, or school dropouts as they're called. A new survey has shown that 50% of Australians think high school dropouts shouldn't be able to get their driver's license. What do you think, Jamel?
It means half your relatives wouldn't be able to get their license, Mohammed.
Half my relatives. Let's not get racist on this show, okay? You've already attacked me with my university, with me.
You love me. Anyway, let's go. I'd say, maybe having a law is a bit extreme, but at the same time, maybe having a law would encourage people to actually finish their studies.
Well, this survey was conducted by carsguide.com, so they're pretty credible in a sense. And what they discovered was 40% of Australians want the government to ban dropouts from getting their license.
This is compared to actually 41% who actually oppose the implementation of the law.
It's pretty balanced. I mean, if 40% are saying yes and 41% are saying no, I'm always pro safety, especially when it comes to our Muslim drivers out there.
You'd make a very good politician, Mohammed.
Very diplomatic, aren't I, Jamal?
Yeah.
The Australian people deserve a right to run in this country, live in peace and harmony, and geez Louise, and
just put on that accent, mate, and you'll be able to make it to Parliament in no time.
The Yfactor.
Sounds like something fishy's going down in the UK with Muslim students. What's happening, Mohammed?
Well, they're apparently being secretly filmed at university, Jamal, and a student organisation has expressed this outrage after it claimed Muslim students had been secretly filmed at a university in the UK.
Damn, that's not prejudice whatsoever.
SubhanAllah, man. I don't even feel safe at my uni now, but yeah.
What I found hilarious was the guy who actually got arrested. The reason why they started recording them in Muslim students in the first place was because he was writing a what do they call it? It wasn't a thesis. It was a
PhD.
Something, right? He was writing some sort of essay, right? That's us university educated. Anyway, he's writing an essay, and he was doing it on something to do with the Middle East, maybe terrorism or something. And he downloaded something online about Al Qaeda or Al Qaeda.
Shh! Don't mention that name on there.
Yeah, we're probably going to go off air soon, eh? Anyway, apparently the stuff he downloaded was freely available in the library anyway. But he got arrested for suspicious activities. He was released later, but it was just quite hilarious because this guy, was taken maybe because he was just a Muslim. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And this university in the UK, Nottingham University, apparently they were filming students on campus, and their justification was it was a method of monitoring potential extremists. And I don't understand the logic behind this, subhanAllah. And if that isn't biased and prejudiced and, culturally and religiously vilifying, I don't know what is, and something should be done about this. They should perhaps blow up the cameras.
What about all the shootings over in the US in schools and stuff like that? Has there been any incidents so far where you've had Muslim students doing something crazy at a university? No, I don't think so. Versus Columbine Heights High School in the US, or some other cases with that. Whatever that Asian guy's name was.
They're more common than potential extremists emerging from university. And the security staff at this uni, they keep a log of the Middle East related activities on campus. The details of different talks and seminars revolving around Palestine and other issues. I do that at my university, and I know many others that do participate in their Muslim society at university, and I can't imagine their activities actually being recorded and filmed under that justification. It's pathetic.
Well, I think it's just a bit of a waste of time, but you know what? Maybe it'll at least show them what Muslims are really like.
The Yfactor.
Now, before we go to our wacky news for the week, and mind you, there is a lot of wacky news for the week. This is an interesting program that's taking place in Istanbul, in Turkey. It's called Being Muslim for a Month, whereby non-Muslims are able to be immersed in Islamic daily life for 9 whole days. Now, the nuts and bolts of the program are they have the religious and cultural experiences. They're given different tours of the tourist sites. They're given lectures and talks by Islamic scholars and thinkers. Sounds like a pretty good program that possibly Australia could adopt.
Maybe. Some people might find it controversial, but I had to think about it. And you know what? My father's a convert, right, or revert, and he was going on khuruj, he was praying and things like that before he actually became a Muslim. And sometimes, maybe this is a good way of whether the person becomes a Muslim after the 30 days or not, at least they'll get a good idea of what Muslims are like. They'll get a good experience rather than all the rubbish that they hear in the media. So, I think it's a good sort of initiative.
I agree. A brilliant first-hand experience of being in touch with Muslims and getting, as you said, the true essence of our deen.
Yeah, it's a way for people to really see Muslims for who they are, and inshallah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens their hearts to the deen, then all the better. If not, then at least they've gone away with something that's, they won't be prejudiced anymore.
Ameen, inshallah. So this is the Yfactor saying to anyone out there who knows any Muslim organizations or Islamic community groups, this is possibly a program, an idea for a program that could be adopted and implemented in this country.
As a dawah initiative.
As a dawah initiative, as a dawah project. Sounds very beneficial. You always hear it from the Yfactor first.
The Yfactor.
You listen to the Yfactor on 87.6 FM, and we're going to the best part of the show, which is the wacky news.
Yeah, right, the best part of the show.
Personally, my favourite segment.
Personally, my worst segment, but also interesting and fascinating at the same time.
We've actually been catching a bit of flack for our sense of humour on the show, been laughing too much and stuff like that. For the haters out there, this is a youth program. For crying out loud, let us laugh, let's have a good time,
Yeah, and the thing we present, all the content we present is what's happening in the world, okay? We might not be politically correct, but we're honest and raw, and that is what the Yfactor is about. So if you have a problem, you know where I live. No, if you have a problem,
come down to the station.
maybe at the maybe
we'll
at the
settle it
station.
outside in the grassy backyard.
So that's my Lebanese.
Overgrown.
That's my Lebanese side kicking in.
Yeah.
My Islamic side is Biz in the Lab. We'll work on our the constructive criticism out there. So talk to us on Facebook, inshallah.
Oh yeah, also mentioning a competition that's happening. What we want you to do, if anybody knows of the Ray William Johnson show on YouTube, one of the most subscribed people in the world on YouTube, he does a show where people send in videos and so forth, and he reviews them. We want to do the same thing on the Yfactor. So why don't you send in some funny videos, or maybe some videos that you think we should do a theme on for one of our shows, and we'll go through it and have some fun with it. So send us in some videos that you find hilarious.
Absolutely. Upload the videos, the video links on our Facebook page, and we'll frame our episode around that particular video. We'll give it a mention. So the competition will start for next week's episode. So get those videos coming.
Yeah, and maybe we'll chuck in some prizes for our favourite video.
And this next wacky story, Jamel, is completely whack.
It's totally out there. If we have any people who have been alcoholics in the past, which is doubtful. Hopefully.
I doubt that. Alhamdulillah, that's a good thing.
Inshallah, but this story is concerning some alcoholics and drug addicts in the hospital, but particularly alcoholics who, what did they do, Mohammed?
Well, they're actually consuming Aqueum gel. If you don't know what Aqueum gel is, it's an alcohol-based hand rub,
that
right?
you see in the hospitals all over the place.
So we've all visited our grandparents in hospital, and then as we walk out, there's those bottles right outside the hospital room where you just squirt that rub and then give your hands a wash. Someone's actually consumed that, right?
They consumed, I think it was 6 bottles, and these bottles have 66% ethanol in them. So the guy had to get his stomach pumped, something like that.
This was at the Alfred Hospital. Now, those 6 bottles are equivalent to 20 stubbies of beer.
Yeah.
I don't know about stubbies and all this beer jargon, but that seems like quite a lot of beer.
It certainly does. The guy was considerably smashed afterwards, you could say.
SubhanAllah. And this was, the reason why we know this is, it was because it was in the Medical Journal of Australia.
And apparently it's not the first time that it's happened.
So should we call it a pandemic for the first time?
It's a growing problem. So, they're actually considering maybe replacing the substance with something that tastes disgusting rather than something that actually,
Well, I hope this doesn't become an ongoing issue and just is one of those rare, wacky things that make you go, what the hell?
Well, the world seems a bit crazy, and you'll see what we mean with the rest of the wacky stories.
The Yfactor.
So Mohammed wants me to declare publicly and live on it, well, maybe not live, this is pre-recorded, on air that I love him. Yes, Mohammed, I'll admit it. I love you, my brother. As a brother, anything more
I hope
than
so. I love you for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and nothing else, I can assure you.
Alright, okay, need to get married, brother. Need to get married. Okay.
Inshallah.
Going on to the next wacky story. A girl was choked, raped, and set on fire. SubhanAllah, man. This is a crazy story. And it was actually, she's 14 years old. And it was done by this 25-year-old, what was his profession?
He was a church youth leader by the name of Michael Tano Hermogenes, and he's from Caroline Springs. And as you said, Jamel, she's 14. He met her at home. They drank alcohol, and then she got choked, raped, and set on fire.
Yeah, this is a completely true story. The guy admitted to everything. He said that he was actually taken over by, a rage of sex demons or something like that. So he actually, he did these horrible things, and, as disgusting something as despicable as it is, on a side comment, this story didn't really get much news, even though this guy's meant to be some church youth leader, right? Not generalizing this to any Christians whatsoever. This is, not anything of the Christian faith whatsoever. He's not representative of any Christians. But in the media, for some reason, when a girl happens to lie about something that happened, or any situation about the Muslims, like we seem to have one person who does something wrong, and that represents the whole entire community for some odd reason. I don't know. We're always the flavor of the month.
There's no hidden agenda at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just infuriates me that the fact that this guy is a church youth leader, and as we said, with all due respect to the faith of Christianity, this is by no means an attack on them. But if hypothetically this person was a Muslim youth leader, my goodness, front page newspapers,
for sure, all over the news for the rest of the week.
Now this is pretty serious. He's being charged with he has 5 charges. One of them is rape, the production of child pornography, attempted murder, arson, and theft. He'll be sentenced next week, and as you said, he said he was possessed by a sexual demon. So
that was what he claimed. But I mean, seriously, I think the guy should just be hanged or something or other. This is.
Did you say be hanged?
Well, yeah. Something like this can't be just let go. It's there's no excuse for the horrible things that he did.
The Yfactor.
So that was a bit of a serious story, but we're going into some really funny stuff. A man was showing his girlfriend his gun, and then it went off.
What?
Yeah, it blew off in his groin.
Okay, jokes aside, what is this story about?
That wasn't a joke, that was real.
What?
A guy was showing his gun to his girlfriend, and it went off in his groin. No sexual innuendo intended.
Ouch.
Yeah, certainly wouldn't want that happening to me.
Which country was this in?
I think it was America.
Okay, hold that thought, listeners, okay? Continue, Jamel. Next story.
The next story is a man went to a bank and robbed it for $1. And apparently it was so that he could get free medical treatment that they have in the jail cells.
I don't know, subhanAllah. I don't know what to say. I honestly do not know what to say.
Yeah, well, what's going down in America if a man can't get medical services? He has to actually attempt to rob a bank and then get arrested before he can actually get some attention.
They're resorting to those measures. I think America has some serious social and welfare issues at the grassroots level that they need to deal with.
Well, they set the standard in the Western world.
That's for sure.
And going into the final wacky story of the week is this is for all those newlyweds out there. There was a couple in, I think it was the UK, they'd only been married for 13 hours, and 13 hours after they said I do, the husband got a bit upset because his wife was getting a bit frisky on the dance floor with another man, so he left the place. She chased after him and bit him on the shoulder and then bit him on the arm. He called the police. She got arrested, and what a night for a newlywed couple.
And let me guess, now they say I do to a divorce agreement, right?
Well, let's just say instead of going on the honeymoon, they'll be going to court.
SubhanAllah.
Some crazy ladies out there. Some crazy ladies. Some
crazy men as well. But I stress those 3 stories were from where, Jamel?
From America, I think.
With all due respect to the country itself, God help our Muslim brothers and sisters over there, because if all this stuff is happening over there, like, it might seem somewhat quirky to us here, but this is reality. I mean, it's actually happening. I can't believe it.
The world's gone mad.
No, Jamel, correction, America's gone mad.
That's what it seems like, man. We're going to head off to a break now. Stay tuned into the Yfactor on 87.6 FM. You've got some awesome stuff coming up, so stay tuned.
Mountains of Mecca, what can you say of the day that Abraham passed your way, and he was instructed by God to build a house of peace where people will pray, and they will come on every lean camel and out of every ravine for the purpose of praising Allah, to glorify Allah. Oh, mountains of Mecca. Yfactor.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Yfactor on 87.6 FM. We have a special guest in the studio today named Beylal
Racheha, and Beylal Racheha is the founder and president of Mercy to the World, which is a charity organisation. Beylal, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum
Alaikum
assalam wa
to be
rahmatullah.
here.
Alhamdulillah. We're happy to have you here as well.
Jazakallah.
Beylal, to start off, do you want to tell us a bit of a breakdown, a brief about Mercy to the World?
Well, I established the organisation back in 2005 from Sydney, Australia. We actually began with only, say, 10 orphans in the country of Ghana, West Africa. But I'm in the second largest city there. I'm not in Accra. I'm in a city called Kumasi. And the actual area that I do work in is in an area called Al Tafu. And so, subhanAllah, there was...
Sounds like El Tafo.
So what happened was, I found that there was a great need and urgency to sort of help our brothers in Ghana, because studying Islamic history, what I found was it was problematic actually that 90% of poverty is based in Africa and it's based in the Muslim areas. So I found that it's an obligation based upon all Muslims of Australia to help those in need. So subhanAllah, with the little money that we had, that we gathered, I got on a plane and I went there. So it was fruitful, because while I was there, I actually had the honor of sitting with the great scholars from West Africa who were experts in Maliki fiqh and Maliki jurisprudence. So I had the honor of sitting at their feet for a couple of months. And so while we were there, we purchased 5 plots of land and we actually started building the boarding school, and we've never looked back ever since.
Would have been a special experience.
SubhanAllah, it's amazing. If people ask you, where is God's love? And I must be honest, I found the love of God there among the poor. And it reminded me of the hadith when the Prophet ﷺ said, that the poor will enter Jannah. There's one narration that says 500 years and another one that says 50 years. But you really don't understand the importance of water or food until you're in a country where there is no water, and we must carry it for like an hour on our backs. So that was the beginning of us. We began with one well, which I named after, Muhammad's best friend, Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. And we've never turned back. And ever since then, we've built 85 water wells in the last 6-7 years now.
MashaAllah.
What actually brought you to Ghana in the first place, or to Africa in the first place?
Look, when we look at the history of Africa, you can see they've been neglected. And as a Muslim, being born, raised in Australia, I felt there was a great need. And actually, I must be honest, it broke my heart to see, especially with the African slave trade that happened, from Ghana, from Cape Coast, which is an Islamic town, where 100 million Muslim Sunnis were actually taken from there to America, to Virginia. And they say over 50 million were thrown into the shores. It just broke my heart that, to see that, and no one said anything about it. And yet when we see the civilization of the African Muslims, we see like, I think it was King Mansour Musa, may Allah be pleased with him, who was the leader of the Muslims in Africa. He was from Mali, and he was actually the one, I think, when we look at history, he took Islam to Ghana and all the neighboring countries. Now, when we look at his time, he took so much wealth and so much money over to the Middle East. So there was no poor people in Egypt or Palestine or Lebanon because of this man. And I thought, subhanAllah, when the Africans were in power, we see the glory of Islam spreading in the Middle East. And yet when we've got all this glory now and all this money and power, how come there's so much poverty? And I must be honest, excuse the language, but I'm disgusted that we're the richest people in the world, and yet we have the highest poverty rate in the world. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to change this. I'm going to actually go there, even though I'm one man. And with the help of the Muslims in Sydney, who were very kind in their contributions towards the organisations like Brother Muhammad Dunya, may Allah be pleased with him, who donated thousands of dollars. We had Brother Scott, who's an Australian convert. No, Scott from Sydney. Okay. He actually he owns the cafeterias at Sydney Airport.
MashaAllah.
He's been very kind. Him and his friend Khalid Ma'arbani. So Dr. Ibrahim, the great scholar of Australia.
The Yfactor.
See, what I'm struggling to understand, mashallah, it's a noble cause. Like, you're born and bred in Sydney, Australia, yet you found the love to help Muslims worldwide. You've obviously went to, Ghana in Kumasi. It's very different. You've obviously seen all the experiences there. Some of them were confronting the poor, the miskin, and then you come back to Australia and, subhanAllah, we live in the high life compared to they are. Isn't
No.
it? It's an amazing comparison,
Well,
isn't
it's
it?
two different worlds.
Yeah.
And mentioning Muslim Aid, may Allah bless you, Brother Muhammad, I must be honest, of all the Islamic organizations that Mercy to the World did approach for help, I must be honest, Muslim Aid were the only organization to help, and they've been very kind in their contributions. So may Allah bless Muslim Aid for all their kind contributions. So
It's good to have that clarity, I guess.
of course, it's to clarify, it's to acknowledge where your money's being spent.
The Yfactor.
Now, Bilal, most of our listeners go to either high school, TAFE or university, and subhanAllah, we tend to get into this attitude, Jamel, you can clarify, where we think we're university students, we're struggling as it is to earn money. Charity is something we want to do when we're older. We give charity here and there, but can you just shed some light on the importance of giving charity as a Muslim, no matter how old you are and what your situation is?
Okay, look, the beauty about Islam is this, subhanAllah, the social justice in Islam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it compulsory and it's obligatory upon every Muslim to pay his zakat. But now saying that, look at Islam, it only forces or compels, like it's compulsory upon the one who can give. So if you can't give, it's not compulsory upon you to pay that 2.5%. But really, when we look at the history behind it, why did Allah say, "Atu zakat"? Why did He make this compulsory? Now, subhanAllah, one, it purifies you.
SubhanAllah.
It purifies your wealth. It shows you the mal is mal Allah, laysa mal al-bashar. This is the wealth of Allah, not the wealth of humanity. And Allah begins in the Quran, Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. And from what we've provided for you, that you give. Now, why is it so? Now, because it's a duty and it's a right upon us to look after those who can't look after themselves. And when we look at the great story of Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab, who won the title of Al-Faruq, the Prophet gave him this name, Al-Faruq. Al-Faruq means to distinguish, يفرق بين الحق والباطل. 6 days before he was killed by the Persian Abu Lu'lu al-Majusi, and when Umar said, Radiallahu anhu, by 6 days before he died, he said, I will increase the pension of the Aramla, the widow, so no one will misuse our women. So when we look at Bat al-Mal in Islam, Australia has the pension or the Centrelink or the Dulcet.
That's the equivalent, right?
Exactly.
Sort of,
and this wasn't an introduction through the Romans or the Greeks or the Persians. Islam was the first people to bring this. And I just want to clarify that, because we've had this for 1400 years, where the Western world, even in America today, they don't have a pension set up. So this came from the Muslims. And you see Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiallahu anhu, who was Muhammad's dearest friend and closest friend, established this. And the first khutbah he said, and everyone knows who Sayyidina Abu Bakr was, you can't be a believer, you can't be a Muslim if you don't accept this man. It's just impossible. And the address he gave to the Ummah was, he said, I am here to serve the poor, the needy, the oppressed, the widow. And then the rich got up and said, what about us? And he said, the rich are not the need, but the poor and the oppressed and the needy are. So here we see Sayyidina Abu Bakr, what was he establishing here, radiallahu anh? He was setting up a system for all those to come after him to follow.
SubhanAllah.
And the biggest problem we have today, let's be honest, what is problematic in the world today, there's too much of a gap between the rich and the poor. And this is why communism came in, and this is why there's so many rebellious groups, because when you don't feed a nation, what's going to happen? When
You'll have
oppress
uprisings,
them?
yeah.
Of course. So Islam says, let's negate that. Let's create a beautiful balance between the rich and the poor. When the rich give their 2.5%, the poor would want to become like the rich.
The Yfactor.
He's obviously very well versed in Islamic history and theology. Just finally, on Mercy to the World, to date, what's been done in Ghana? Can you update us on the progress there?
Khair, inshallah. Mercy to the World, alhamdulillah, as I mentioned earlier, we bought 5-6 plots back in 2005. We're building actually the largest Islamic boarding school there, and the first Islamic library ever to be built, because there is no Islamic bookstore in all of Ghana. We've also extended our charity work to Sierra Leone, also in West Africa, in an area called Freetown. We also do charity work in Nigeria. But in Ghana so far, alhamdulillah, the mosque is already at the 2nd floor. We still need equivalent of $80,000 to finish. That contains a library. Also the school, we've already done the foundation for it, but that needs a lot of money, which is close to about, say, we need about $500,000 or $700,000 to finish. But what it will cater for is the education of youth, and will protect them. And you all know there's a high abduction rate of Muslim girls being abducted from Ghana. And as you're all aware, the president of our organisation, Sheikh Kamaluddin in Ghana, West Africa, his daughter was abducted 7 months ago. So it breaks my heart. She's 5 years old. And I must be honest, I went to the High Commission of Ghana for help. They wouldn't help me. I contacted the head of the headquarters of the police station in Ghana. They wouldn't help me. And you see our imbalance and an injustice in West Africa where the rich really do neglect the poor. This is something we can learn from Jesus. May the blessings of Allah be upon Jesus.
Amen.
When the Romans and the Jews approached him and they said that, you know, we only see you walking with harlots and the poor and beggars. And Jesus said something very true, and we can all take a learning from this. And as Muslims, as you're all aware, we accept Jesus Christ. We believe he was born through a virgin called Mary, who Allah chose above all women. There's a chapter in the Quran called Chapter Mary. As you know, there's no gospel called Mary or Jesus. Yet there's an honor given to Mary and her father Imran, which is chapter 3 in the Quran. And Jesus says to the Jews and the Romans, he said, yes, but he said the beggar and the poor and the harlot are in need, but the rich ain't. So we see the same words that Sayyidina Abu Bakr said 600 years later are the same words as Jesus. And the reason is Jesus saw the importance. Because today, a lot of people look at the letter of the law, but they forget the spirit of Islam. And I think what Jesus was trying to say, alayhi salam, to the Jews and to the Romans was, he was trying to bring the spirit of the law and the essence, which is love. And the essence of Islam is love. That's what all of our religion is really based on. Two principles is al-adala, is justice, wadud, you know, the name of Allah, and hub, you know, love, because wadud is a more conservative word to use than the word hub.
The Yfactor.
Where can we go to find out more about Mercy to the World?
Well, you could go to our website, www.mercytotheworld.org.au.
And they can donate there, right?
They can donate there. If they want tax deductibility, we've spoken to Muslim Aid. May Allah bless them. Muslim Aid's more than happy to receive funds. All you have to do is when you go to Muslim Aid is just say it's for Ghana. And Muslim Aid has been a big donor to Mercy to the World. Because of their kind contributions, every Ramadan we get to feed over 2,000 children.
Wow, mashallah.
So, you know, God bless Muslim Aid and God bless their team there. They have a great team of people there.
Is there a Facebook page, Beylal? People can have a look at the photos, or is that on the website?
It's on the website, but they can also go to Facebook. If they type in Mercy to the World, they'll see it. We're also on there. So,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Speaking of Muslim Aid, I mean, you were at the dinner. I went there last Saturday, and you spoke there as one of the inspirational speakers. And when I was there, you know, before you talk a bit about it, I actually saw, you know, with your speech, it was so powerful and so strong and so heartfelt and sincere that people actually started crying during the speech. They were coming up to thank you afterwards. I even saw a man come and kiss you on the forehead, so out of thanks. And you know, what was that like? Could you tell us a bit about it?
SubhanAllah, I must be honest, I think he kissed me on the forehead because I'm balding. He didn't kiss me because he liked me. And I think the kind words that you said are a reflection of you, my brother. I can share that compassion and that feeling because when you actually do the aid work, brother, it's totally different to just donating. And I really think the donors don't know what we go through as aid workers. We have to gather the money. We have this responsibility that you don't have to think, oh, brother, we go through hell, our families, our friends. You know, it's easy to donate, but actually it's a lot harder to send it because when people donate money to us, we actually get scared of God more. It implements a fear that words can't describe.
It's a greater responsibility.
Oh, subhanallah, Muhammad, wallah. Like when someone donates to us, you got to remember we're going to be questioned on how we spent that money. So I get scared when he got up because there were so many people at this fundraiser. And
The Yfactor.
well, I work at Redfern. I work as a security guard there. You know how many people I see every day dying, throwing themselves off towers? They're overdosing on drugs. Well, it's sad. We're blessed in Australia. Wallahi, we're blessed. We can get up every day and wash our face. In Ghana or Sierra Leone, we have to walk an hour just to get water. So this money that we're collecting, trust me, can do so much more.
The Yfactor.
Beylal, perhaps before you go, you could maybe tell us a little bit about what you saw overseas. I mean, the reality of the situation overseas for the poor, because I mean, it's a reality today that it's about. I read statistics saying that 5 billion people out of the six or so billion in the world, 5 billion live under less than $10 a day. So the reality of those who are in poverty is actually much higher than we actually realise.
Look, I'll be honest with you. It's words like subhanallah brings a tear to my eye just to think about it. Well, when I was there back in 05, subhanallah, may Allah make it easy upon them. What breaks your heart the most is when you see these kids, they got no mum and dad, you know, and they run around with no shoes. So and they got no clothes. And then they come to you and they're asking you for help. And Like, I had $100,000. It's not a lot of money. I had to buy the land, which was 40, 50 grand. Then you got to pay the constructors. So seeing that, and when we went to eat, subhanAllah, they eat like us Arabs. They eat with, they roll it up in their hands, but people hide it there. So I told the kid, I remember I bought food for the workers on the side where we're building the boarding school, and the kid ran off with one food, rice and chicken, and I bought about 80 of them because there were so many workers. So I go to the kid, come back please, and when the kid came back, he goes, I'm very sorry, and he even took the food. I said, no, I called you back so you can give one of these to each of you, and the kid started jumping up and down. He thought I was calling him back to get the food. So I gave every single kid a chicken and a rice, and that was like, wow. Like, it was like over the moon. So words can't really describe it. And I'll be honest with you, brother, we're being punished. I'm being honest. All the problems you see in the Muslim world it's because we've neglected the poor. Wallah. If we start helping the poor, that's it. I don't care if you're not praying. Wallah. I don't care all your dua, that means nothing to me. Actions are louder than words. You start contributing to the poor, and I promise you, wallah, you won't just go to Jannah flying. Wallahi, Allah will bring peace to the Muslim world. We're being persecuted and punished across the world because we've neglected the poor. And this is the downfall. And history doesn't lie. You look at anyone that was kind. Harun al-Rashid was successful because he was generous to his people. Sayyidina Abu Bakr was successful because he was kind to the people. Sayyidina Umar because they looked after their people. He even encouraged Abdul Malik ibn Marwan in Syria to reduce the taxes. He kept saying, reduce the taxes, reduce the taxes. So
really think
to actually talk about how bad it is over there, brother, words can't describe it. And you know what the worst thing is also? No disrespect to our Christian brothers and humanity. You find the Christians there, even though that they invaded the country and raped and killed their women, but you see them, a lot of churches are there doing a lot of good work, and Allah bless them. And they wonder why the Muslims are becoming Christians. It's because they're doing the work of a Muslim. We're supposed to lead the world in helping the poor. We're supposed to lead them in stopping poverty. We should lead them in building the world. They're doing everything a Muslim should do. And just remember this, we're the richest people in the world, and yet we have the highest poverty. 80% of poverty across the world is in Muslim areas. I'll end
SubhanAllah. It's a timely reminder for all our listeners out there, the importance of charity. So, Bismillah, you can jump on board to Bilal's website, All Muslim Aid Australia, or any other organisation, and contribute and play your part. And as we know, Ramadan is around the corner, so get into that mode of giving in charity and hopefully maintain it after Ramadan. Jazakallah khairan once again to Brother Beylal for your time today.
Jazakallah, thank you. It's my honour to be here. Thank you.
We should all remember that the money that we have is actually a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and at the same time a test, and it should be used wisely and not just flaunted on useless things.
Wise words indeed, Jamel. We'll be back right after the break to wrap up the program. You're listening to the Yfactor on 87.6 FM.
Amid the confusion, the chaos and the pain, a man emerged and Muhammad was his name, and walking with nothing but Allah as his aid, and the mark of a prophet between his shoulder blades. In a cave in Mount Hira the revelation came. Read, O Muhammad, read in Allah's name. May the blessings of Allah be on Al-Mustafa. None besides him could have been Al-Mujtaba. Muhammad, peace be upon his soul. The greatest of prophets, Islam was his only goal. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. From among all the prophets, Muhammad was the last, as his was a mission of the greatest task. There was only moral degeneration. People clung to idol adoration. For all nations he was Al-Mukhtar, so was he praised by Allah Al-Ghaffar, the bearer of glad tidings, Al-Bashir.
The Yfactor.
Welcome back to the Yfactor, guys. Jamel, I know you have to leave, so before you leave, please tell our listeners what's the fact of the week.
Something hilarious. This is for the fact of the week it was actually illegal to speak in a foreign language on the telephone up until 1959 in Australia, of all
In Australia
places.
or America?
In Australia, of all places. But then again, you look back on our history, we had the White Australia policy. We had a lot of crazy stuff in Australia. The operator could actually sometimes break into the conversation and say, please speak English.
Wow, I'm trying to envisage that happening right now. You'd have about 1 million phone calls a day.
Well,
Such a multiculturally diverse community.
Well, actually, I mean, that's kind of scary. Does that mean that the operators would listen into the phone calls? Maybe they still do that today, but now they've
I think that happens with the Muslim community, but this time it's ASIA, not operators.
But it seems like, now maybe they've got multilingual people who are actually listening in, so no need to break in the conversation and interrupt something that's going down and say, please speak English. Although nowadays, if they were to interrupt, it might be, please speak English, please, sir.
It's like, Assalamu alaikum, Jamel, what are you doing?
Hello, how are you? Please speak English.
Yalla, bro, let's go. We have to go. Yalla. Yalla. It's an Arabic word. Yalla.
Yalla, what is this, yalla, please?
It means hurry up, get out of my face, get off this line. Thank you.
What is the happening? Anyway.
Alright, Jamel, it's time to go, please. Make your way out.
The Yfactor.
Well, Jamel's taken off, and we welcome Amatullah back to the program. Amatullah, can you tell us a hadith of the week?
Definitely. So this week's hadith is, if one gives in charity that equals one date fruit from money that is earned in a lawful way, then Allah shall take it in His right hand. Then He enlarges its rewards for that person, just like any of you who brings up a baby horse, so much so that the charity becomes as big as a mountain. So the horse becomes as big as a mountain.
MashaAllah.
Like rewards, enlargement.
Very relevant hadith, especially considering our feature for this week. So turn that horse into a mountain, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's what we're going for.
The Yfactor.
Okay, so we're just wrapping up the show. We've got a lot of events this week. The first one is volcanoes. It's all happening this week at volcanoes. So on Saturday, the 25th of June, it's an all-day charity day, and there's going to be silent bid auctions, and all the funds raised will go to the Cancer Council. And every $2 from each customer made will go to the Cancer Council as well. And then on Sunday, there's an all-day family fun, which involves children under 10 eating for free. There's going to be jumping castles, face painting, pool table, barbecue, fountain, and much, much more.
Okay.
And then on the Sunday night at 8 p.m, there's a volcanoes eating challenge. Mohammed, you've got to go into this. You could win $1,000 if you can take on a volcano meal.
Is there steak involved?
Yes, well, it is a steakhouse, so I'm guessing so. But you have to register, so register on 9709-2227.
So for a good cause as well, why not fill up your stomach and get some rewards at the same time? Another event for this Monday is called Dean vs. Degree. It's going to be held on this Monday from 7 to 9:30 p.m. at the LMA Function Centre in Lakemba. Everyone will be joined by a Brisbane guest speaker by the name of Sheikh Aslam Abu Ismail. This is a joint event by the MSAs across Sydney. It's a free event, and there'll be free giveaways on the night also, so be there and be sure to spread the word.
Pretty excited about that one too, Mohammed. There's also another dinner, which is the Orphan Child Dinner, and that is a sisters only event, but basically it's meant to raise awareness and funds for those less fortunate than us around the world. And I think it fits perfectly with our theme of this week. So all proceeds will be going towards our various orphan projects. And for tickets, please call 0404 761735. And that's on Sunday, June the 26th, from 6 to 10:30 at the Bellevue Reception Centre.
Fantastic. And this Saturday, there's also Our Community Matters Know Your Rights event. It'll be held by the Auburn Community Development Network, or ACDN, and JAN, Justice and Arts Network. It's a joint event from 10 to 1 p.m. this Saturday. It'll be held at the actual venue of ACDN on the corner of Park Road and Queen Street, Auburn. Now, it's basically about your rights in discrimination and employment. So if you want to check out more information, type in Our Community Matters Know Your Rights on Facebook for further details. So I think we've come to the end of our show, haven't we, Amtullah?
Yeah, that's right. It was a pretty good show today, inshallah. You guys
sure
did
was.
well.
Same time, same place, next week. We always say that every week, but we have to keep saying that because there's nothing else really we can say because we're on every week.
All right, Mohammed. Let's just tell them about our how to contact us.
Yes, you can go to the Yfactor radio show on Facebook, or if you have any suggestions, you can email
us on yfactor@live.com.au. There's also our YouTube page, which is Yfactor 876 FM. So please drop us a few comments. Isn't that right, Mohammed?
Absolutely. And as me and Jamel mentioned on this week's episode, the competition is starting. So send us your suggestions and your links as to the YouTube video so we can frame our episodes around that particular YouTube video. It could be a funny video, could have a great meaning, some great Islamic symbolism, could be a particular theme. Please send us those YouTube videos so we can frame our episodes around those videos. So get those links coming on our Facebook site so we can continue making this show bigger and better than ever. As for this week's episode, from the team at the Yfactor, we say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We need love. Love is all we need. Love is all we need. All we need is love is all we need. 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 All we need to smile.